Okay, in this section, we're going to be multiplying and dividing rational expressions. So we better get started. And that means I need to make sure that all my settings are what I'm looking for. Let's say we have 10x times y squared over 5a times 5a squared over x squared y. And we want to simplify. So we're multiplying two rational expressions. Now, there's, several ways of doing this, but let's work on it a little bit at a time. Let's look down here in the numerator. Actually, you know what? So we're multiplying these together, okay? Let's write this as one big fraction. And we'll write equals sign right here, okay? But before we actually multiply anything together, let me just say this, actually. There's a 5 down here in the denominator, and there's a 5 up here in the numerator. We can just go ahead and cancel them out. Maybe we can cancel them out. So let's just do that. I'm going to rewrite this 10. I'm going to write it the x y squared times a squared. These are actually all multiplied together here, I should say. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put, for example, x, which is down here in the denominator. We have an x squared. I'm going to put that directly up underneath this x squared. Or this x, I mean. And then we have a y, so I'm going to put that y under here. And then an a. So maybe you can better see that. Okay, so that should cover everything. Now I'm not going to do this every time. This is x to the first, so that needs to go down into the denominator. Okay, we have a y squared and a y to the first, so that y to the first is going to go up into the numerator. So that's going to end up being y squared times y to the negative 1. Okay, we have a squared over a. This is a to the first, so we always take the one with the smaller exponent. We always move that one, and that would be moving that a to the first up to the top, makes that a to the negative 1. Let me try to move this screen a little bit. So what's getting moved to the denominator? Well, we have x to the first. So we're going to move that down into the denominator. So we have a to the second power times x to the negative 1. Alright, that should take care of everybody. So now, rewrite. So we have 10, we have y squared times y to the negative 1. So we add their exponents. That makes that y to the first power. That'd be 2 minus 1 is 1. And then we have a squared and then minus 1. So we add, so that's a to the first, and that's all over. We have x squared, right, add, and then negative 1, so we add those exponents and we get to the first power. Of course, we don't ever write that. We don't write it like that, but we just write it like this. 10 ya over x. ya over x. Alright, so that expression condensed down to 10ya over x. Now, I want to talk about something here. I have x squared over x, and we want to simplify this. So I'm not going to go through those steps that we just got through going through. Okay, this is to the first power, this is squared. You should automatically see we're going to take 1x away from the numerator, so we're just left with x. Alright, you see that? Okay, for example, if I have y squared times x over y times x squared. Right, we've got 2 y's in the numerator, 1 y in the denominator, so that means that's going to leave us with 1 y in the numerator. We have 1 x in the numerator, 2 x's in the denominator, so that just leaves us with 1 x in the denominator. Okay. So we're not going to go through all those intermediate algebra steps, which I call that we did in this first problem when we're working these problems out in the next 5 videos or so. Alright. Okay, so that pretty much ends this little session here. See you in the next video. We got quite a few of these problems to work out, some examples, I guess you could say.